Hey everybody, Josh here, aka Sorcerer's Hat, and today we got a bunch of card reveals for Wilds Unknown, set 12 of Disney Lorcana. I apologize for the lighting in here. I'm recording way later than I usually record, and the lighting in this room gets very harsh. I'm learning, but whatever. We're gonna trek on. I have handpicked a bunch of these cards, so we're not gonna go over everything. But I grabbed cards that are either interesting or good, or some of them might be bad, but I picked them because you can have kind of a discussion around them. So if there are any cards in here that I did not touch on that you would like me to touch on, please let me know in the comments. Yeah, we'll just dive right in, honestly. So the first up is we have a set of cards. They're like traveling princesses, basically, even though they're not all princesses. But a few of these cards, and I'll let you know when they're not this, but I believe it's the first six. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The first 6 of these cards are all basically going to be promos for doing pre-release, which is notable in Wilds Unknown because they're actually giving away, or you're buying essentially the box, the pre-release box, and each of them will have one of these promos inside of them, so you will have to either play multiple pre-releases to try and get them all, or buy them as singles. I can't imagine that they will be too expensive, to be honest, because honestly none of them are game breaking, really. I think at best they're fine, but you know, we'll go over it. So the first one, this is Ariel, Curious Traveler. She's an inkable 4-cost amber character card with 3 strength, 3 willpower, and she quests for 2. She has 1 ability, Familiar Ground. Whenever this character quests, if you played another character this turn, chosen opposing character can't challenge and must quest during their turn if able. This is very similar to, there was a Gaston card in set 10 that sort of did this, and it was sort of like reverse reckless. You're forcing them to quest, but the thing is that like they can still sing, so you're not really locking that out, right? You're just kind of stopping them from challenging you, which I would argue it'd be better to just do that instead, but I'm guessing this this is an amber thing, must quest. But I mean, this card is kind of whatever. I don't personally think it's too amazing. Her stats are a little low. Yes, she quests for 2, but like her ability doesn't totally make up for that. So we'll go on to the next one. And like I said, they're not all princesses because Maleficent's not a princess, but this is Maleficent, Imperious Traveler. She is an inkable 5-cost amethyst character card with 3 strength, 5 willpower, and she quests for 2. She has 1 ability, Heed My Words. Whenever this character quests, if you played another character this turn, you may exert chosen opposing character. I actually think this is like the best one out of all these, but even then, still not amazing. We still have Elsa the Fifth Spirit for 3 more months, something like that, and that card is just way better. There are some other cards that are getting printed in this set specifically that do kind of the Elsa thing, but they don't do it that well. So clearly they see Elsa the Fifth Spirit as kind of like she's really strong, but like not strong enough to maybe ban. But at the same time, you know, it is what it is. All right, next up we have Cinderella, Resourceful Traveler. She's an inkable 4-cost sapphire character card with 1 strength, 4 willpower, and she quests for 2. She has 1 ability, This and That. Whenever this character quests, if you played another character this turn, you may put the top card of your deck into your inkwell, face down and exerted. We have a way better Cinderella than this already. That is also a 4-drop and works on your turn. Yes, she's uninkable, but like she just came out in the game, so she's gonna be in the rotation for at least another year. And even then, this Cinderella is really, really, really slow. So I think you just would rather just play that, honestly. Just play the other one. Next up, we have Queen of Hearts, Impatient Traveler. She's an inkable 4-cost ruby character card with 4 strength, 2 willpower, and she quests for 2. She has 1 ability, Royal Command. Whenever this character quests, if you played another character this turn, chosen character gains Rush this turn. This one's not bad. I think in like limited, you would be super happy to have this. And I think in a lot of decks, you would actually be super happy to have this. I think the biggest problem is that she only has 2 willpower, and Angel exists and is around. Fire the Cannons is around. She's probably just going to get taken out before she quests, to be honest. If you're playing her on the draw against like Blurple or something, they could just remove her because they're going to go on into, well, if they haven't already, they're going to go into 5 ink. Probably more than that, actually, because they ramped, and they're just going to Elsa this or Cheshire Cat or something. So I think she's incredibly vulnerable. I think the 2 willpower really, really hurts this card a lot. Otherwise, it's like pretty good. But yeah, the 2 willpower really hurts it. And lastly, well, I guess actually not lastly, this is the second to last. This is Pocahontas Steadfast Traveler. She's an inkable 4-cost steel character card with 4 strength, 5 willpower. She quests for 1. She has 1 ability, Wandering Spirit. Whenever this character quests, if you played another character this turn, return a location card from your discard to your hand. It's actually decent. She has pretty good stats. That 5 willpower means that she'll be pretty hard to get rid of in like a steel on steel sort of situation. Yes, she can get Let It Go or whatever, but like that 5 willpower does make her pretty beefy, and also she has 4 strength, so she can clap back pretty hard. Getting a location card from your discard and putting it back in your hand, yes, is a little niche. However, locations have been seeing a lot more play, I would say, at least locally for me. The last few tournaments I've ran into, I think like almost everyone has run a location of some kind. There was a set champs I played very recently where every single opponent I had, it was a diverse swath of decks. Every single deck had at least one location in it. And I thought that was very interesting. And there are actually some good locations coming up too. Not only in this set, but, well, I guess, yeah, in this set. And then I feel like locations might be coming back in a way. So this Pocahontas actually might be pretty good, but it is going to depend on whether or not there's like a good location in the meta that Steel is also going to want to take advantage of. Okay, lastly for the Travelers. This is Cruella de Vil, Judgmental Traveler. She's an inkable 6-cost emerald character card with 4 strength, 4 willpower. She quests for 4. She has 1 ability, You're Out of Fashion. Whenever this character quests, if you played another character this turn, you may banish chosen damaged character. Yes, she quests for 4, but she only has 4 willpower. And you're playing this on 6, you know, when your opponent, if they're on Blurple, they've got good removal for this, so you're never going to quest with this probably. If you're playing against Steel, they've got He Hurled His Thunderbolt. It's not that hard for them to get to 4 characters to do Strength of a Raging Fire. I think this card is just very, very vulnerable in that sense. I think in draft, this Cruella might kind of win you the game, but not because of any ability. I think it's mainly just because she quests for 4, and then your opponent suddenly is panicking and has to have removal to deal with it, and removal in limited is much, much harder to get. So I think in limited she might actually be okay, but in core constructed, I don't think she really sees play much at all. Next up is the first Woody card. I think there's another one that there is one more that we're gonna talk about, the legendary one, but I wanted to bring this up. So we're getting Pixar characters this set. This is Woody, Leader of the Toys. He's an inkable 4-cost amber character card with 3 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 1 ability, Let's Go Home. When you play this character, look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a toy character card or a location card named Andy's Room and put it into your hand. Put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So similar to like Nani or similar to Judy Hopps with detectives, Woody finds toys, and at first that might seem kind of not great, but there are a lot of toys this set, and actually some of them seem decent, like pretty good. There is something to be said for like a red-green toy deck or a red-yellow toy deck or a yellow-green toy deck. I saw even some people saying, based on some of the other toys that have been revealed, that once Dogs rotates in July, that the toys might actually take their place and do the exact same thing, because Under the Sea is not actually rotating because it was reprinted in Fabled. So technically you could still do what Dogs was doing, but just with toys instead of dogs. And you would still probably use Nani, to be honest. Well, actually, you might not, because... Well, yeah, actually, you would. You would still use Nani for sure. And then you would just probably use this if you were running a lot of the toys, which you probably will be. And then he is technically a shift target for the other one, which we'll talk about right now. So this is Woody Jungle Guide. He's an uninkable 5-cost Amber character card with 1 strength, 5 willpower, and he quests for 2. He can shift on 3, and he has 2 abilities. His first one is Let's Get Moving. Whenever this character quests, draw a card. Then you may play a character with cost 2 or less for free. That's pretty crazy. And then his other ability is Everyone Gather Round. Your other toy characters get +1 willpower. Yes, he only has 1 strength, so like the evasive Sisu just takes him out. Grab Your Bow takes him out. Headless Horseman takes him out, so that is a little unfortunate. He gets Under the Sea as well, but the ability to have him like shift in quest, you get to draw, and then if you've got a cost 2 or less character, you just plop them on the board for free in something like toy dogs. I don't know what we're gonna call it. I guess we'll call it Under the Sea toys, under the bed. I don't know, but in that style of deck, that Amber Emerald deck, I could see Woody being really good. He also could be really good in the Amber Ruby toy deck, like self-sacrifice sort of thing, which we'll talk about the card that sort of makes that a reality a little bit later in the video. But there is kind of if you come from Magic, some speculation that there is a toys like Aristocrats type deck that is Amber Ruby and involves toys. It looks decent, but again, usually a lot of these things look kind of decent, but then the meta sort of kicks them out like very early on, but we'll have to see. But continuing on the Toy Story train, we've got Buzz Lightyear Jungle Ranger. He's an uninkable 7-cost Emerald character card with 7 strength, 5 willpower. He quests for 2. He can shift for 5, and he has 2 abilities. His first one is Take Charge. When you play this character, you may return an action card with cost 7 or less from your discard to your hand. His second ability is Advanced Training. Whenever you play an action, chosen character gets +1 lore this turn. So the idea is you could combo this with some Ruby sort of ready your character shenanigans, sing songs, build up a bunch of lore on Buzz or whoever it might be, and just quest for a bunch. Will this see play in core like right when it comes out? I actually think probably not. There might be some like cute kind of deck that someone comes up with like maybe first week, but I doubt that it'll see like a lot of play. I think maybe in Infinity, this card has more of a shot because there's just a lot more actions and a lot more things you can do with it. And then maybe post-rotation, I think there's a chance that there is a deck around Buzz Lightyear and playing a lot of really cheap actions or finding a way to play tons of actions for free, like maybe using like Powerline or something. But Again, then you have to have these two characters on board at the same time, and by the time you've gotten to that ink level, is your board getting wiped, or are those characters just getting removed? Like, it might be a little too high rolly, a little too cute, but I'm sure someone will find a way to break this card because it does actually have a lot of potential. Next one is Isabella Madrigal, Caring Cultivator. She is an inkable 6-cost amber character card with 4 strength, 5 willpower, and she quests for 2. She can shift for 4. She has 1 ability, Do No Wrong. Whenever you remove damage from one of your characters, gain 1 lore for each 1 damage removed. Kind of cool. A lot of the Madrigals randomly this set. There are some in Amethyst, but they have seemed to have shifted to Amber Sapphire a little bit and are trying to do this like heal for lore, burn kind of thing, which kind of interesting. I don't know that it will really become a thing, because then how are you getting that damage on them, right? Like, you could argue you could pair this with Ruby with a lot of the characters that like just come out with damage on them, like Mulan, Injured Soldier. You play her, she has 2 damage. But the thing with Isabella is she does not remove the damage herself. She is just the conduit with which you get lore for healing. You have to use other things. Like, you need to use like Ohana Meets Family, or you need to use Julieta Madrigal, who I believe was reprinted in set 9. So she is legal in core. You could use her to heal and also draw. But again, like, you've got to find a way to get the damage on characters. It's not as easy as it seems. Nevertheless, she's not awful, but I don't really know where she goes right now. Next up, we've got Mickey Mouse, Expedition Leader. He's an inkable 4-cost amber character card with 2 strength, 3 willpower. He quests for 2. He has 2 abilities. First one is Long Journey. This character may enter play exerted. He's not a bodyguard, but when we read the second ability, that will become clear why he can enter play exerted. His second ability is Secret Path. While this character is exerted, whenever one of your other character's quests, chosen opposing character, gets -2 strength until the start of your turn. So, dogs rotates. You still have things like this Mickey Mouse Expedition Leader to do that sort of thing. The problem with this is that if you're trying to lower the strength of a lot of other characters, you need to have a lot of characters to back up, because you need to be able to sing Under the Sea. So, will this actually see play? I think it will see some testing. Whether or not it remains in the deck, though, remains to be seen. But again, we still have an entire set left. We still have another 3 months with the normal dogs deck before it all shifts to toys and this Mickey Mouse and stuff. So I think there is a chance this card could see some play, but really only in that context. I don't think you play this in like Amber Steel Songs or anything. Because like, why, right? I think you could make the argument that you could play him in Amber Ruby, because then you could use him to lower the strength of stuff, and then play like Headless Horseman to get rid of it, or Grab Your Bow or something like that. So I actually think the card's pretty good. I just don't think he's gonna see core play like right off the bat. Next up, we've got the Dunbrock. I haven't seen Brave in a really long time. Family Tapestry. This is an inkable 2-cost amethyst item card with 2 abilities. The first one is Torn Apart. This item enters play exerted. And the second one is Mend the Bond. Exert it, banish this item. Each player shuffles all character cards from their discard into their deck. Man, it seems really, really niche. I think if there is a deck later on that really takes advantage of its discard pile, like for instance, I play quite a bit of Amber Sapphire Control, and we use like Black Cauldron. So a lot of times, even when we play Moana, we don't want to ink the characters out of the discard. We want to use the actions. Sometimes you do the characters, but usually you don't, because you want to save them for the Cauldron. This is another way to sort of disrupt the cauldron because you just make all those characters go away and suddenly you have to put new stuff in the discard to make it go away. But there are also some other cards that are going to do stuff in the future with the discard pile. And so if you really want to get rid of their characters, this is a way to do it. It seems really niche. I feel like it's not going to see very much play. I think this will be like a super, super, super niche card. If something ever happens with discard piles and characters getting way out of hand, this is sort of like a break glass in case of emergency sort of card. And it is inkable, so in worst case scenario, you can just ink it. But I just don't think this card's going to see play like immediately right off the bat because its ability is just way too niche and not something that you really need to do all the time. It's like it's very niche, so possibly in the future, but we'll see. Next up, we've got Sid Phillips, Toy Surgeon. He is an uninkable 6-cost Ruby character card with 5 strength, 5 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has 2 abilities. His first one is Playtime's Over. When you play this character, you may banish another chosen character of yours. If you do, each opponent chooses and banishes one of their characters. So right off the bat, he's got like a sort of a mix between Teeth and Ambitions and Be King Undisputed, sort of. And then his second ability is Double Prizes. During your turn, whenever a toy character is banished, gain 2 lore. So the idea being you can play Amber Ruby toys. You can, get a bunch of toy characters out. You play Sid Phillips. You get to remove one of your opponent's characters, obviously of their choice, but you still get to remove something off the board, but you take something of yours off the board, but you do get lore off it, so you can quest with a character, play Sid Phillips, banish them, and get the benefit. I actually think Sid is pretty good. He's pretty good, to be honest. I think, though, it really will depend on if Toys is good. If there's a Toys deck that's good, then Sid is good. If there's not, then Sid's not good. That's sort of the way it is. In Draft, he's actually probably okay because his second ability, while nice, it might come up occasionally. His first ability, though, you don't need Toys to make this work. So you could play this in Draft as just some removal and get like a bigger body, a 5/5 that quests for 2 on the board. And then you could just like throw your toys at stuff, and even if they quest for 1, suddenly they get banished. They get you 2 lore, that kind of thing. So I think Sid's a pretty good card, but again, it is going to depend on whether or not the toys are good. So if the toys aren't good, I don't think Sid sees a lot of play. But if the toys are at least decent, Sid will see play for sure. Next is Merida Gifted Archer. She is an inkable 5-cost Emerald character card with 3 strength, 6 willpower, and she quests for 2. And she can shift for 3. She has 1 ability, Fierce Protection. While this character is exerted, whenever an opposing character challenges, you may deal 1 damage to the challenging character. It's okay. I think in Draft this card's probably awesome, but I think honestly it probably won't see a ton of play. I think that you're gonna maybe just ignore this, but also clapping back only for 1 damage isn't amazing. However, it does mean that in some ways when she's being attacked, she's a 4/6. The problem is that if the thing challenging you has resist, then the 1 damage doesn't do anything. Because it is a separate instance of damage not related to the challenge. Like, she's not getting +1 strength, if that makes sense. It is 1 damage on top of the 3, so the resist would hit twice. So it wouldn't do anything. So that is a bit unfortunate, but I think it's okay. I would probably play this in Draft because I just think a 3/6 that quests for 2 would just be super annoying in Draft, and then it would just to make it more annoying. It's like, yes, and you're going to take 1, possibly going to take 1 extra damage for trying to take it out. Your opponent's going to want like hard removal for this. And she does have 3 strength, so, Horseman doesn't get her unless you do some kind of shenanigans. She doesn't get under the seed, so I think she's okay. Again, I would totally play this in like draft just because she is pretty annoying, but I think in core, I kind of struggle to see where she even would go. Like Emerald Steel is not that great right now in core, like at all. And then most Emerald decks are not that great in core right now, except for dogs, and this definitely does not go in that archetype at all. So I don't know. It is possible that post rotation Merida has a place. Like she has pretty good stats, and she can shift. So I think there's potential post rotation for this card, but it's not going to be in any decks that we're currently playing, to be honest. Yeah. Next up is Syndrome, out for revenge. This is an inkable 6-cost steel character card with 4 strength, 6 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has shift 4, and he has 1 ability, Got Me Monologue In. Whenever this character quests, return a robot character card from your discard to your hand. Then you may play or shift a robot character with cost 8 or less for free. Really contingent on there being good robots, and the only other set that I believe we got robots in was Arcasia's Island, I believe, because that's when we got like Hiro Hamada and Baymax and all that stuff, like all the inventors and stuff that went with the robots. There are some more robots in this set, but so far they're not very good. So is there a chance in the future there's a really great robot you would want to combo with this? Probably totally. Right now, like none. Like I actually struggle to even think of a relevant robot in the core meta right now. Like I can't think of any. So what is Syndrome doing, right? He might be pretty good in draft if you have a robot that you can use this with, but again, the robots are like not super great. I don't think I even picked any out to show here. Now that could change. Next week we could get some amazing robot and suddenly Syndrome is great. But I think right now this card's just not that great. Next up is one that honestly kind of hurts my heart a little bit because, man, this art is so good, and I just love the queen from Snow White, especially the hag queen. It's the best part of the movie. But this card I think is a little strange, but we'll talk about it. So this is the Queen, Devious Disguise. She's an inkable 4-cost emerald character card with 5 strength, 3 willpower. She quests for 1. She has 2 abilities. Her first one, Evil Scheme. When you play this character, you may draw a card. If you do, each opponent gains 2 lore. Now it's may. You may draw a card, and if you do, your opponent gains lore. But if you don't want them to gain lore, you don't have to have them gain lore. Second ability, Jealous Heart. While an opponent has more lore than you, this character gets +2 lore. She only costs 4. Her stats are not that bad. When I first saw this card, I was very disappointed because I just love this character so much. And I have been wanting a really good like Hag Queen card for a long time, and they just haven't had one. I think this one is very weird, but decent. Where does she go? I don't know. I think in draft, this card's probably amazing. But yeah, in core, it's like okay, where are we putting her though? And you kind of go, I don't know. You shrug, because where are you putting her? She definitely doesn't go in dogs. And even after dogs rotate, she's not going to go in the toy deck. It's possible she could go in some emerald, ruby, something, maybe. I don't know. But I think it's okay. I think there is a chance that post rotation Emerald is a bit better, and there is somewhere for this character to go, like a green purple list or something. But for right now, I think she's mostly a draft card, and maybe a fringe like green red deck or something. But I don't hate it. The more I talk about it, the more I sort of turn around on it. But at the same time, I just struggle to think of like where to put her at all. But hopefully in the future, you know, there is somewhere for her. Next up is a card I'm actually kind of excited about. This is Casa Madrigal. It is a Sapphire location. As an inkable 4-cost Sapphire location. Costs 1 to move there. It has 7 willpower, and it has 2 passive lore. Its one ability is Healing Home. Whenever a character quests while here, you may remove up to 2 damage from them. Then you may remove up to 2 damage from this location. So people were comparing this to McDuck Manor. However, the problem is that McDuck Manor had 9 willpower, which was kind of insane. This does not have that. And getting 7 damage into this location, excuse me, getting 7 damage into this location actually won't be that hard. You have heavy hitters in the format like Demona. You have more rush characters, like there is, especially this set, there's basically like a nerfed Maui hero to all coming back that can slam into this and do most of the damage right off the bat. This card does excite me though, because as someone who's been playing a lot of Amber Sapphire Control, the one thing that I think it could maybe benefit from, and it will require a little bit of testing, is having that old red-blue DKP thing where you wipe the board and then you play the locations, right? To kind of like just bleed out the game. Some people were doing that with in yellow purple with the library, but it's really slow, so people kind of stopped doing it. But however, I think in Amber Sapphire, because you get so much ink by the end of the game, there is a world in which you can wipe the board and then dump out like 2 of these in the same turn. And then your opponent, if they don't have any way to deal with locations, because locations just right now are not super like relevant, they're not played a lot. Some decks are, but it's a little more niche. You can kind of just win the game because you're just going to get 4 lore automatically every turn. And then it allows you to just play stuff and draw and kind of ignore your opponent a little bit while they try to deal with this. So I do really want to test with this card. It's funny that this is like honestly the card that I'm maybe the most excited about playing with right now, just because it sort of reactivates like a thing that we used to do pre-rotation. Sort of brings it back, like obviously not as strong, but it's something I'm gonna try out. I'm interested in it. Next up, we have another location. This is Ring of Stones, Place of Legends. It is an inkable 4-cost amethyst location that costs 3 to move a character there. It has 7 willpower and it has 1 passive lore. There are 2 abilities on it. First one is Follow Your Fate. Your exerted characters can move here for free, so who cares about it costing 3? And then the second ability is Part the Veil. During your turn, whenever a character moves here, gain 1 lore. Basically, you just move stuff there and you get lore. It is such a big buff to burn decks in a huge way that I think burn could actually be like a very relevant deck next set, potentially. The biggest problem with this is that you need to do this to kind of close the game out in a lot of ways. You're not going to play this on 4, probably ever, unless you were just way ahead. And exerting your characters is also kind of risky, so you're not just going to you're probably not going to get away with it like once, you know, like if you do this in the middle of the game, you'll get a lot of lore, but you're probably not going to get away with it. Like your good characters are going to go away, or they're going to get wiped or something. This definitely is like a game ender, I think, in a lot of ways. Like if you have 5 characters on board and you need 10 lore, you play this, exert, you know, quest all your characters till exerted. You're at 15. Oh, you know what? I just read once during your turn, whenever a character moves here, gain 1 lore. Okay, it's way less good as it's not as good as I thought. It's okay. I thought you were gonna be like winning the game with this. Okay, I misread that completely. It's okay. Now that I see that, I actually think it's probably not great. Like you kind of want something that benefits from being at a location, and right now I don't feel like there are that many things that really want to do that, and no one's really using those, right? So it's okay. I think I might play it in draft, but I would have to have like literally nothing else that was as good to play in draft. So, wow, I came in thinking this was amazing, but now that I've read it again, I changed my mind. Next up, we have Zipper, Big Helper. This is an inkable 4-cost Sapphire character card with 0 strength, 6 willpower, and he shifts for 2, quests for 2. He has 1 ability, Buzzing Enthusiasm. Whenever this character quests, you may add his willpower to another character's strength this turn. So it's kind of like reverse support in a strange way. Adding 6 strength to something after questing for 2 is very appealing. Hey everybody, as you can see, it's a new day, a new dawn, and I actually lost some footage, so I have to redo some of this video, but I was talking about Zipper before everything went south, and I will just say that I think I'm gonna wrap it up and just say I think Zipper is probably gonna be pretty good in post rotation if we have something kind of like Elsa, or you have something that you really want to like trade. As of right now, there's just not anything really with like like 8 health or something on or above that we really need to take out. So right now it's like Zipper, yes, is pretty good, but I struggle to kind of think of like where you would put him. Like he's probably not going to go in Blurple. He's a little too vulnerable. But it is a good card. But I think in draft this card will be amazing, but I do think in core it might take a little bit before we actually see him CD play. Next up is, man, I wish that I had saved all the things I said about this card, so I'm gonna have to go a little bit faster this time, but I actually kind of laughed out loud the first time I saw this card because it's just kind of insane. But this is not insane in like a wow, this is so powerful, insane in a I don't get it kind of way. This is Kita, Crystal Scion. She's an inkable 8-cost Sapphire character card with 7 strength, 7 willpower. She quests for 2. She can shift 6, and she has 2 abilities. The first one is Flood of Power. When you play this character, each player may put up to 5 cards from their discard into their inkwell face down and exerted. Her second ability is the Path Revealed. You pay 7 ink, and you can look at the top 2 cards of your deck, put 1 into your hand, and the other on the bottom of your deck. So 7 ink to do basically develop your brain, which is a lot. I think the main problem with this card is that it's just, it not only is ramping you potentially, but it's ramping your opponent. And the thing is, if you were to try and cheat this out as quickly as possible, which I think you could probably realistically do maybe turn 4 if you do it right, you're not going to ramp off this because you have basically nothing in your discard to put into your inkwell, and your opponent probably on turn 4 or 5 even doesn't have anything to put into their inkwell. It is a May, which sounds great, but at the same time, if your opponent is playing something where they are trying to recur things from the discard pile and you play this, they might just decide, like if your intention was to get them to ink it, they can just say no. So it doesn't really disrupt any of their discard shenanigans. And at worst, if they do have a lot of things in their discard, you're giving them so much gas, just so much fuel to pop off, which is not great. And then her second ability, being able to look at the top 2 cards of your deck, I heard some arguments that like, yes, if you ramp for 5 with this, then the first one you do every turn only costs 2, but that's still twice as much as Develop Your Brain costs to do that. And I mean, you can try and think of it that way if you want, but at the end of the day, you are still paying 7 ink to do that. I just don't really know where this card goes other than I'm guessing in Amber Sapphire or something, but even then, as somebody who plays a lot of Amber Sapphire, I wouldn't want to play this. Very confusing card. I hope somebody finds some kind of use for it in the future, but as of right now, I don't know what to do with it. Next is Isabella Madrigal, Perfect Controller. She's an inkable 6-cost Sapphire character card with 3 strength, 6 willpower, and she quests for 3. She has 2 abilities. First one is I'll Handle It. When you play this character or whenever this character quests, you may choose one of your characters and move all damage from that character to this character. Her second ability is Let It Wash Away. At the end of your turn, you may remove all damage from this character. So I actually think Isabella is just better than Louisa in a lot of ways. Yes, her stats aren't as good, but she does quest for 3, so that's already scary. She's not vulnerable to like the 2 strength or lower stuff unless your opponent, makes her vulnerable. She can move damage from other characters onto herself, and it's a lot safer to do that because if you, at the end of your turn, if she's alive, then she's just gonna remove all that damage altogether. So you're essentially making things like Cheshire Cat a lot weaker because then you can just like steal the damage and take it away so that it doesn't get moved around, right? I think all in all, pretty strong card, but again, right now, I just really struggle to know where you're gonna put her. I think in draft she's potentially insane and probably going to be really, really hard to get rid of without hard removal. But in core, I just don't really know where she would go. I think maybe post rotation when we're losing a lot of staples. I think that there's a chance that there is some kind of deck with Sapphire that's just moving damage around and stuff, or like trying to take damage off the board. And also she quests for 3, and that's not like, that's nothing to sneeze at, really. That's a lot. So I think she has potential, just maybe not for a few months. Next up's another really interesting one. This is Hercules Young Savior. He's an uninkable 2-cost Ruby character card with 2 strength, 1 willpower, and he quests for 1. His 1 ability, Reckless Courage. When you play this character, you may discard all cards in your hand. If you do, return a card from your discard to your hand. So this is really interesting because it's sort of like Doc, except unlike Doc drawing you cards, this is just getting cards back from your discard. Ideally, you want to play this when your hand's empty and then get something that was banished a lot earlier in the game back. You're probably never playing this on 2. So I again, this is another card where in core, I don't really know if in the next few months it'll really see any play, but it is possible that post rotation there is some Ruby deck, maybe Ruby Steel or something, that wants something like this to just get their characters back, like loop them. You can loop Hercules with this, but he only quests for 1, so it's not like, super threatening, I guess. But it's a really interesting card. I'm sure someone's going to find some crazy way to break this and do some nuts stuff with it. Next up, we've got Mr. Incredible Super Strong. He's an inkable 5-cost Ruby character card with 6 strength, 4 willpower, and he quests for 1. He can shift for 3, and he has 2 abilities. His first one is Always United. This character gets +2 strength for each other character you have in play. That's crazy. His second ability is Let's Do This. Whenever one of your super characters challenges another character, draw a card. So, Mr. Incredible, living up to his name, he is super strong. Even if you have 1 other character on board, that makes him an 8/4 on 5, which is kind of nuts. His biggest weakness is that he only has 4 willpower, which means that Thunderbolt will just take him out very cleanly. He's also being played on the turn where Let It Go exists, and by the time you're playing this in a non-ramp deck, Sapphire's probably gotten to Hades. They can hit it with Hades. I think ideally you want a bunch of super characters on board, and then your opponent sort of just exerts into it or quests into it. You play this and then challenge with all of them and draw a bunch of cards. Like, that's ideally, I think, what you want. I think that it's good, but kind of with an asterisk. It's going to struggle, I think, a bit in core. It's definitely going to struggle a little bit in infinity, and it definitely depends on, like, it wants you to be playing a lot of super characters, and there aren't a ton of them. I mean, there's a lot in this set, but then that really locks you into a very specific deck archetype that I just don't think is really going to be around much. I think in franchise format, this card's probably busted, but and also in draft, it's probably also really, really strong in draft. Other than that, yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, but I don't think that unless supers are like super good, that this will see a ton of play. Next up is Mrs. Incredible, Determined Rescuer. She's an inkable 7-cost steel character card with 5 strength, 4 willpower. She quests for 3. She has Shift 5 and 2 abilities. Her first one is Pull Back. Your characters gain Resist 1. Her second one is Regroup. During your turn, whenever another character is banished in a challenge, you may ready chosen super character. If you do, they can't quest for the rest of this turn. So she could do it to herself. So she could just challenge a bunch. She could get other supers to continually challenge things. And she quests for 3. Again, I think her biggest issue is that she's very expensive. You definitely are going to want to shift her. So that means that you're basically locking yourself into having another 4 copies of a different Mrs. Incredible card. She also, again, is banished really easily by Herald's Thunderbolt, so that also takes some points off because she's just very vulnerable the turn you play her. If your shift target gets banished, I don't think you're going to feel particularly amazing just playing this on turn 7. Although now that I read it, it says your characters gain resist 1, so she doesn't actually get banished by Thunderbolt, so that makes her a little better. I think if you shift on 5, you'll feel a lot better about it because then you can immediately quest for 3, and then your opponent needs to have 5 damage to answer this. Now, that's not the hardest thing in the world now these days to get, especially when we have things like Copper, and now we have a new, I forget his name, but the kid, Dash, that's his name. We have a new Dash that does a bunch of damage. I think she's pretty good, but she does have some vulnerabilities. Next up is a song that actually kind of scares me. This is Touch the Sky. It is an inkable 2-cost steel action song that reads, move a character of yours to a location for free, then draw cards equal to that location's lore. This is kind of nuts, and if a location deck ever pops off, this card is going to be crazy. It gives you card draw, especially if you have... I don't think any locations have any lore above 2, but there are locations like Scrooge's Counting House that can get that number even higher. So if you got Scrooge's Counting House to 4, played this, move something there, you draw 4 cards. Absolutely insane. It is contingent on a location deck being good, but I think that we're pretty close to that, to be honest. Next up, we've got Dash Par. This is an uninkable 4-cost Amethyst character card with 3 strength, 2 willpower, and he quests for 2. He has a rush and 1 ability, Record Time. This character can quest the turn he's played. This is a bit scary. I will say his stats are not amazing, so if you're using this, using him to fight, he's probably most likely gonna get banished in the fight. This works honestly best in a burn deck, like an Amethyst Steel burn deck. So I think it is a little scary. I think that they probably need to, if they put this ability on more cards, they need to be really careful with it, because I think you could easily create something incredibly powerful. I do think this card's pretty good, but it does have a lot of downsides that I think are going to keep you from probably running like 4 in your deck. But I could see running 2 as just a closer, or just a way to just really pressure your opponent, especially if they're on like a control deck. So I think it's pretty good. I think time's going to tell, though, whether or not it sees a lot of play. Next up, we have Will-O-the-Wisp, Forest Spirit. Is an inkable 1-cost amethyst character card with 0 strength, 3 willpower, and he quests for 1. He has 1 ability. It says, come on out. When this character is banished in a challenge, you may return this card to your hand. We've had this ability a lot, except that this one is on a 1-drop that has 3 health, and yes, it doesn't have any strength, but honestly, it makes it pretty good because it's going to just keep questing. Like, if you're playing a burn deck, you play this on 1, you probably feel pretty good about it, because Fire the Cannons won't take this out. Your opponent's got to get to at least like a turn 2 or 3 where they have the ability to do 3 damage to this, or they have something like strength-based removal to get rid of it so that it doesn't go back to your hand. And even if it goes back to your hand, you probably are, you probably feel pretty good about it because you can either just replay it or you just use it as ink, since he is inkable. So I actually think this card's pretty good. I don't think it will see play in like a normal Amethyst Steel deck, just because I think you would still probably just rather play Captain Hook and stuff and like Rafiki. But in like a burn deck, definitely, or an aggro deck, definitely, I think you will see this would see play. Next is another Luisa Madrigal, Confident Climber. She's an inkable 5-cost Amethyst character card with 6 strength, 4 willpower, and she quests for 1. She can shift for 3, and she has 1 ability. I can take it. Pay 1 ink, move up to 1 damage from chosen character of yours to this character. Then, if this character has 2 or more damage, move all damage from this character to chosen opposing character. The first time I read this, I thought it was kind of awful. The more I read it, I think it has some potential, but I definitely think that more often than not, this card's maybe not going to be the best. I do think that there are instances, though, where you're going to love to have this, and it's sort of like a Mim Elephant. It's like the minute it hits the field, your opponent kind of doesn't want to put damage on it because she has like 7 willpower and she can send some of that damage back, so you've got to get rid of her like all at once. That makes it really difficult, makes her really sticky. This, though, she's only got 4 willpower, so again, she can be Thunderbolted, which kind of makes her a little bit weaker. But I think you can do some interesting shenanigans with it. I think in draft, this card's probably incredible. In core, I don't think in the next 3 months this will probably see play, but there's a chance that maybe if like a Flinger Dinger deck, like a Ruby Amethyst Flinger Dinger deck still exists in core and is like decent, then this probably might see play in it, I think. Next up, we've got the second iconic card from this set. And this is Merida, Formidable Archer. She's an uninkable 5-cost steel character card with 3 strength, 5 willpower. She quests for 2. She has 2 abilities. First one's Full Quiver. When you play this character, you may return an action card named 3 Arrows from your discard to your hand, which we will read that in a second. And her second ability is Steady Aim. Whenever one of your actions deals damage to an opposing character, deal 2 damage to that character. So you can use this in a lot of interesting ways. She is uninkable, though, and her stats are okay. Just going really quick into the next card, just so we have more context. The 3 Arrows action, it's an inkable 3-cost steel action card that says deal 2 damage to chosen character. Then you may deal 1 damage to another chosen character. So the idea being you play the arrows, they do some damage, then you play her, and you can get 3 arrows back. The thing that sort of sucks about this is you want to play 3 arrows when she's already out, and the card's kind of telling you not to do that, because if you play it when 3 arrows is out, you can do 2 damage twice to something, and then 1 damage, and then an additional 2 to something else. So 4 to something, not all at once, but 4 to something and then 3 to something else. Merida also buffs things like in Infinity. She can sing something like Grab Your Sword, and Grab Your Sword would do, like, in theory, 2 more damage. Because it says whenever it deals to an opposing character, deal 2 damage to that character. So when I read that, it means like, yeah, Grab Your Sword is doing damage to all of these characters at once. You're not picking one character, right? So they would all just take the additional 2 damage, so it'd be doing 4. So that makes Grab Your Sword actually like decent again. But I do think this card probably will struggle a bit. You can't shift her, but you don't really need to shift her. You kind of just need to play her the turn you're going to play removal. Even if it's not something like 3 arrows. Like, you could kind of just ignore the 3 arrows part and just use her as the, like, deal 2 additional damage. Like, your strength will deal 2 additional damage, or your Zeus will deal 2 additional damage. So maybe it's something like Blue Steel. I think she might be okay. I do think that you don't need to run 3 arrows when you play Merida. Yes, it will make her a little bit better, but also 3 arrows is like, but on its own, it's like not amazing. It's okay. I think against aggro, you probably feel a lot better about it, but yeah, I think Merida's okay. I could see her in like a Blue Steel deck or something, but time will tell. So that was it. So if there are any cards that I did not go over, please let me know in the comments below. There's a chance I do another card review video next week, and hopefully can do it all in one day. Don't have any like issues like I did last time. But yeah, that's gonna be it. How are you guys feeling about set 12? Let me know in the comments. And it's gonna be it from me. All right, boy, love you.